Okay. And like, what's like 80/20 of editing that you want to spend most of your time on? Okay. Because I think editing is like biggest bottleneck in pretty much this entire process, right? Like, why is editing so hard? Like a ton of you guys put editing as like, okay, the main thing that you're struggling with. Why is editing so hard? Right? I think editing is so hard because pretty much, traditionally you would need to have a bunch of freelancers that you're spending a ton of time with to that you're paying, and then freelancers, you pay them on average, I don't know, let's say like on the very, very low end, $20, maybe $200 to sometimes, I paid $1,000 for a video basically before, right? Like $1,000 per video edit, right? And that's been very, very ass to pay $1,000 for an edit, right? And like the problem with like freelancers is that they don't have um like they're not reliable, like let's just not reliable, no guidance, like no, and like no, I'll just say like no guidance, right? And like when they're not reliable, meaning like they deliver late, right? And they're like relatively expensive, that's like no bueno. And then if there's like no guidance, like they don't know what to do, right? And like hard to communicate with, right? This is traditionally been the problem with editing that's made it like so difficult in order to really figure out, right? And like there's definitely like a couple of fixes, but this is when I talk to people about, hey, like why are they struggling with editing, or like why is editing like the main bottleneck, then you kind of run into you run into this issue, right? In terms of like really, you're like, okay, thinking about, okay, editing is like the main bottleneck. If we were to like break it down sub even more, right? What is the different components of editing, and what is the most difficult part about editing? And so it's like, okay, when you look at editing, different types of editing, bottleneck, specification, inside of editing, and then why it is difficult. Not why it is difficult. It's what is 80/20 of editing, right? So you know where to spend your time on, right? This is like most important. Okay, so let's break it down right now. So with editing, okay, different components of editing, it's a couple of things. Number one, it's your A roll, so like your talking head, and then there's your B roll, supporting images or video. One more. Take water for me, please. Thank you. You're the best. And then there's music, there's transitions, there's sound effects. I will put maybe sound effects to be up here above transitions. And then there is and then let's call it like motion graphics. Okay. This is like different components of editing. Right. This is like how you would break it down. Right. And what is most important in terms of editing? I want you guys to think like, okay, like, what is the reason we have B-roll, like we have music, sound effects, transitions, motion graphics, and then like A-roll, B-roll? Like what is the reason there's like so many different components to it? Okay. Most importantly, like a function of video editing is to hold retention. And in terms of a rule, like something new happens every 5 to 7 seconds. And then like to hold retention, you also have sound effects, so that it's like audioly like stimulating, and then you have transitions, so it's like visually stimulating, and then you have yeah, so like all this like hold retention, right? And then secondarily, Another function of video editing is to enhance the script. Okay, aka if script is bad, good editing don't fix. Okay, but if script is good, editing enhances by visualizing content. Okay, it's literally just to visualize the content. Like that is literally it, right? So if the script is good, editing enhances by helping visualize the content. So for example, if I'm saying, you know, um, like I'm gonna go drink water, then in the video it should show, like someone drinking water. It could be me drinking water, or it could be, B-roll of someone drinking water. Could be like a waterfall, something like that, right? If I'm like drinking water, if I say like, oh, like John is gonna go and drink water, and then there's nothing showing drinking water, then the editing, isn't complementary to the script. So meaning like it doesn't actually have any function. It doesn't actually add to the video, right? So like this is literally like the only things that you would really need to focus on. It's like, okay, does the editing enhance the script by helping visualize the concept? Okay. And then of course it's never ever like a yes or no, right? It's never ever like a yes or no. It's like a spectrum, right? It's like, okay, like on a scale of like 1 to 10, how well does this visual enhance the scripts, right? And then if it's like closer to like 8, then you're probably fine in terms of the video editing, right? Um, and then like this is basically a checklist, right? Okay, does something new happen every 5 to 7 seconds? If yes, then like video is good. Okay, like everything is fine. Like like that means it like holds your attention. Is there sound effects that adds to and complements the idea of like, okay, something new needs to happen every 5 to 7 seconds? Like yes, okay, helps. Okay, transitions so that it looks visually nice. Like yes, okay. And then like literally if you have these like 4 things, right, where there's like a change every 5 to 7 seconds, whether it's like A roll, B roll, zoom in, zoom out, you're good. If there's sound effects, then you're good. If there's transitions, then you're good. And then if we visualize the content, then you're good. This is like 80-20 of editing. Does this make sense? Where like this is like the main things that you want to look out for in video editing. Thumbs up, makes sense? Obviously, maybe this sounds like dead obvious, but like this is legit what it is. Okay, if you like have all of these, you're like 80% there in terms of the video edit. Like you're like totally being chilling. Okay, so you just need to focus on this stuff, right? What is like secondary level to like video editing, where video editing becomes like a lot more complicated. In video editing is crazy motion graphics. Okay, where there's like things flying across the screen and whatnot. Okay, but and I think there's the perception that okay, the videos need to look super aesthetically pleasing, and there needs to be like very very good motion graphics. Okay, but whenever we're like or like whenever like a client comes to me, or like whenever one of you guys come to me, it's like, hey, like okay, my motion graphics is like not good enough, right? I always refer back to this. Okay, does something new happen every 5 to 7 seconds? Is there sound effects? Is there transitions? And does it actually help visualize the content? A lot of the time, the motion graphics will be doing motion graphic stuff just for the sake of doing motion graphic stuff, right? Just for it to look like visually stimulating. But I don't know about you guys, but I have never ever watched a video, like finished watching a video and be like, damn, I wish that there were more motion graphics there in the video. I've never ever said that. I don't think you guys have ever said that, right? Motion graphics is one of those things that's like really visually stimulating, probably doesn't add to the viewer experience, right? A lot of times it can actually take away from the viewer experience. The only time where it would be that okay, like I really need to have crazy motion graphics is if it actually helps visualize the content. If it's like a simple motion graphic that helps visualize the content, then then you can do more of it. Then you can do more of that. Okay. So, crazy motion graphics is one of those things where like, okay, like people think that they need very, very crazy editing. You really just need this basic editing, right? That's why we don't spend too much time on motion graphics. As long as it looks good and it gets the job done and it helps visualize the content, like you'll be good to go. And then music. Okay. Music choice is one of those things that I think is really important in like video edit, right? And it's one of those things that is like more complicated because like the right music does set the right tone. But once again, I think this is like very, very advanced like video editing where you need like crazy, crazy good music choice. But most of the time it's like, okay, if you even don't have music or you have just light background music, then you'll be fine. Okay. So literally as long as you follow these 4 guidelines, individuals, it will significantly make it a lot easier to go through this process, right? This is what we're placing a ton of focus on, right? In like making the most very like simple edits, like things that are like good as long as it looks visually good, as long as it adds to the script, right? Notice how like editing is literally all the way on like the last step. It's all the way on the last step because it's not the most important, in terms of the outcomes of the videos. It's like, okay, outcome of video is more so determined by all of these, right? More than the edit, because that's just how YouTube works, right? The edit is all the way to the last step, but this is also the part that takes the most time, right? It's where most of you guys are like, okay, I'm blocked. It takes the most time. Okay. So something to keep in mind there, where you just want to have